We are live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Primetime. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Chad and Carrie. How's it going, guys?
Hi, going
It's
well.
going great.
Oh, great.
It's going great. We got some great shirts here. I got on a chopping mall shirt.
Yes.
Cabin in the Woods. Hunter's repping Scream like usual, unless it's Halloween, I guess. Hunter's
That's a
repping
hard
Scream.
question. That's a hard question, Hunter shirt.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hereditary's up there. Scream.
Obviously.
Yeah, a lot of great ones out there, honestly. That's a tough question.
Sleepaway Camp.
Sure.
All right, guys. So tonight is a very special episode because we are doing a topic which is horror movies inspired by true life events. So we got 5 movies that dedicate in the area of true crime that have inspired some of the greatest horror movies known to man. So before we get to that, we will be kicking off the news segment of the night. Chad and Carrie, why don't you guys kick off with the very first news story?
You have it?
Sure. I thought you had the doc pulled
I
up.
don't know.
It's in the chat. Sorry, Hunter.
No, that's fine.
Okay, so Scream 6 got greenlighted. They're going to begin filming, I think, this summer already. And returning to direct is Radio Silence, and the same writers of Scream 2022. Radio Silence also directed Scream 2022. So the whole writing and directing team is back for the 6th installment. I am really excited. What do you guys think?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Chad?
like that's kind of like the thing we were hoping for was Radio Silence, can write and direct and come back and just like see their vision through. And because we think that Scream 2022 was like so what we wanted out of the next Scream film that I'm interested to see where this goes, to see like where they bring these new characters. Because I think this next one is going to be less of hand holding new characters.
Yeah. Carrie?
Yeah, I agree with Chad. I mean, I think we all trust these guys to bring us a really solid Scream movie. Even though 2022 wasn't my favorite in the series, it still was, hit all the points of a Scream movie for me. I wasn't disappointed at all. And I think it will be. I'll be very, very interested to see if they bring back Nev Campbell and Courtney Cox. And it's hard to picture a Scream movie without them.
Yeah.
I mean,
not wrong.
I did have an idea that I actually sent in the chat.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, you froze a little bit, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my connection here is not that good. That I sent to the chat for you guys about Kirby possibly coming back and taking over the role of like a new Sid for the new generation would be interesting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with Carrie. Like in a way, it kind of would feel like Bourne Legacy, where Jeremy Renner was brought in, and it was like, this is the new Bourne, and you're like, that's not Bourne. But then again, I feel like because we didn't that franchise, we didn't get the Jeremy Renner and Matt Damon movie to show him coming into the story and being able to actually helm it. Here, we actually had a movie with these new characters and the legacy characters to be like, we're passing on the torch a little bit. But honestly, Hunter, I think that would be a really fun idea because I know all three of us in high regard. And also, I just think it would be like a really awesome return for Hayden Panettiere, because she hasn't been around like at all. And I'm sure she's probably been doing stuff with her personal life, and this is probably what she's chosen. She's such a great actress. I can't imagine like there'd be any good reason that she couldn't get roles. So I imagine it might be a personal choice, or maybe I just don't know the ins and outs of the situation. But yeah, she hasn't been in anything recently, and I feel like it would be like a really fun return to see her like 12, 13 years later. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. You are.
Hello.
We just kind of we're still talking about it.
We're
Did
just
you
talking
hear?
about Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah.
And how great she was as Kirby.
Yeah, and how she doesn't. Chad was saying she isn't really been in anything.
So it'll be great to see her come back as an actress, and
I feel like that would be a good way to bring back a legacy character without having to go all the way back to
the original.
To the original characters.
yeah, because she is a legacy character now.
Yeah.
Scream 4, yeah, and that's kind of like actually because like she was in Scream 4 back in 2011. I imagine we were like, this isn't Scream until it becomes. It just takes a little bit of time, and then eventually you'll see, Sam Carpenter and Tara, they'll all be legacy characters at some point, 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Should we move on to our next news item? Which is
yes, let's go. Get over, or should I?
You go ahead, please.
So yeah, apparently this is something I did not know. Netflix is making a requel, and there's that word again, of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. See, it ties in. It all ties in.
Yeah.
So they just dropped a trailer a few days ago, and I really loved this trailer.
Yeah,
Chad, Carrie?
I really enjoyed the trailer too, and I'm just very interested to see where they go. I'm interested in this like new wave of the requel that's just coming up. It's like a post modern horror type of thing that's happening. It's just a new wave of stuff. What's starting with like I guess Halloween 2018.
I mean, I think
yeah.
I remember thinking there were some examples even.
I'm sure, but like that was one of the big ones that comes to my mind because it's.
I mean, there was like a Blair Witch movie that kind of tied in the original back in like 2014, I think.
That's right. But I'm not sure. I actually didn't see that one. I'm not sure how requel it is, but yeah, like I'm just excited for this new age of that. You get Halloween, Scream, now Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I thought the trailer looked kind of fun. I'm interested to see where they're going with it. It's looking like it's going to be really dark, but not too dark. It's not going to be like super like Rob Zombie vulgar or anything like that, but it might be pretty gory. I thought, and Carrie might disagree, that the look of Leatherface in this movie was really cool. And when he popped up
I did
out
too.
of the grass, I was like, "Oh shit, that's scary!" Like
almost like a scarecrow.
That was pretty creepy. Yeah. What do you think, Carrie?
Okay, so that one part you touched on, I did think the CGI looked really bad in that part, but I do like the look of Leatherface.
Fair.
I like kind of like the bloody, fresh face on his
It
face.
really looks like freaking like human skin and stuff. It looks really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, guys?
I mean, I'm just really excited to see. It's just because you never know. I mean, you can't say, "Oh, well, it's coming straight to Netflix, so it's probably not going to be good," because there are a lot of movies that come straight to Netflix that are really good. That's just the way streaming and film distribution is working right now. Things go straight to streaming. It's not like straight to DVD anymore. So it's like this could actually turn up and be amazing. However, I haven't seen every single Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but I don't think there's really been a good one since the original. So,
I mean, the 03 remake was
Yeah.
with who? Jessica Biel.
Yeah,
but I don't know if it's like I don't think it's like on the same level as like Scream 2022 or Ready or Not or even a Halloween 2018. I feel like that one's kind of more in the middle where it's like good, but it's not great. There's a lot of issues with it.
Yeah.
Skills also kind of brought that one down a little bit too. But that's way out of the weeds. I'm just hoping this one is good, is all I'm trying to say. And I think that hopefully it can give us some really good characters and a really fun movie.
So the only thing I will say that is giving me hope about this movie is that it's being produced and I think co-written by Fede Alvarez.
Okay.
Oh,
that's cool. Another one that was amazing was Evil Dead 2013.
That was
Evil Dead 2013.
I'm not saying it's a requel. I'm just saying it's a really great remake. I mean, I think
actually it could be seen. Oh, sorry. It could be seen a requel because you had Bruce Campbell at the end.
I have to rewatch that movie.
I guess potentially, yeah, but he wasn't really part of the story, so I would say maybe a little, but I would say that's more of a remake. And then like I think he pops up, and it's not really related to the story, but yeah, because that one was actually produced by Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell,
Sam Raimi.
And then directed by Fede Alvarez. So yeah, so I think I saw wasn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre this new one directed by like a really newcomer?
I think it was, yes.
If that's the case, then we don't really have anything to go on. It could be really great.
Unless they have some sort
Yeah.
It could be a great debut.
Yeah.
From an early filmmaker.
What's very exciting to see a filmmaker, like, potential like horror filmmaker get, a first shot and kind of see what they have to offer. Like Fede Alvarez, his first movie was an Evil Dead remake or prequel, whatever you want to call it. And he brought one of the most solid, amazing remakes ever, and has continued to bring us great horror movies.
And I will say,
Don't Breathe is one of my favorites.
The name of that, Don't Breathe, yeah. The name of that director is David Blue Garcia. I wanted to shout him out just in case.
Yes.
He might blow up. He did something called Tejano in 2018, but that might be a short film. I'm not sure.
Ooh, I don't know what that is.
No, it's a feature. So this will be a second feature. I don't know if that was highly rated or anything. I never really heard of it, but either way, we can move on.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna let Carrie take this one over because I have not seen the Insidious film. So.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you to watch.
You haven't? Interesting. Let's go, Carrie.
So at the
I'm gonna watch them soon.
A few hours after the Scream 6 news was released. I think Patrick Wilson might have been the one to release this. Insidious 5 is starting filming. I think it's this spring. It's going to be directed by Patrick Wilson, who is the star of the first 2 Insidious movies. And I'm very excited. I think the first 2 are better than 3 and 4, but I still really love 3 and 4. So I'm really excited to see 5.
Okay. Well,
you might disagree.
Well, Insidious, I'll say. I mean, it's a James Wan, Lee Winnell property first and foremost. I feel like, and team up. They usually make a damn good horror film. You got Saw. He's not. Lee Winnell wasn't part of Thunder.
No, but even split up.
Yeah, especially with Lee Winnell lately, he's been crushing it. But I feel like with the Insidious films, like you can't really get kind of better haunted house kind of movies. I think the first one is easily the best. The second one is decent, and the third one actually was really scary. I thought. I don't know.
Four was, yeah, because that's the one where he
Four is the last key, and that was a really bad. I feel like it was really bad.
The one is directed by Lee Winnell.
But I might be just misremembering. It might have been not as bad as I'm thinking.
Lee Winnell directed 3. James Wan directed 1 and 2. I don't know who
3.
directed 4.
That's why I think it probably started to drop off. And Lee Winnell was trying to find his footing as a director, I feel like. And he didn't really hit his stride until he directed Upgrade. But yeah, I'd be excited to see an Insidious 5. Do you guys know who? Oh, you just said Patrick Wilson is directing, and then I was going to look it up.
This is his feature debut, correct?
This is his feature debut.
Right?
I imagine so. Let's see. It just says also director. It doesn't really say debut, but I imagine so. I don't remember hearing about him directing before.
Unless it's like a short film or something.
But yeah.
Anyways, but I think this is like a really interesting thing because you see this a lot now where you'll have an actor try his or her hand at directing and you get like some really great results like Olivia Wilde with like Booksmart. Oh my God, that's like almost a perfect film. So like, you
Booksmart is so good.
It is. And then you have Maggie Gyllenhaal just directed The Lost Daughter. That was pretty good. So you get a lot of these now, and sometimes they turn out really well because people have ended up around the film industry. Jesse Eisenberg just came out with When You Finish Saving the World.
Yeah,
that was a Sundance film we saw. Carrie really liked that one. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. But yeah, so it can be hit or miss, or it can be great. I'm interested to see what he brings. He's definitely one of the most veteran Insidious Conjuring people, so he'll probably know how to revitalize the franchise.
Yeah, so as someone who's never seen the movies but know that he's been a part of it for a while, to have someone who loves the franchise and loves horror as much as Patrick Wilson come in and direct a version of this movie could be very interesting because he would know how to direct these type of films.
Yeah, and maybe he'll be able to sing Elvis again. That would be really fun.
Yes, please, that'd be amazing.
We disagree on.
All right.
Conjuring 2 falls off in the second half. It gets less scary.
I love Conjuring 2.
We'll talk about this later. I'm with you, Hunter. I also love Conjuring 2. Moving on. What's the next story, y'all?
I actually like Conjuring 3 as well.
Oh, all right.
So I think we're gonna get into our main topic for tonight.
Yes, and we all done
interesting.
Like,
so
no, I didn't do any because Hunter did.
He did your research. Okay, I did some research for two movies.
But I know enough to.
I was just like, I have plenty of time, so
that's good because I am so behind on.
How about we if you don't mind, Hunter, how about we kind of alternate stories and you can start?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
All right, so as someone who is wearing the Scream shirt, we might as well start there.
Absolutely.
Yes, everyone. 1996's Scream is based off a real true crime event. So let's get into the story real quick. So Scream was inspired by the disturbing murders caused by the Gainesville Ripper. Well, actually, before we get into it, let's put a true accounts, and most of these will be very disturbing to listen to.
Yeah,
so just putting that warning out there.
Your graphic violence, just maybe tune out for the rest of this. I think the rest of it is going to be graphic violence.
Yeah. Yeah, especially Carrie's. Thanks for that selection.
Oh, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Let's see. All right. Yes. That one. All right, so Scream was inspired by the disturbing murders caused by the Gainesville Ripper, Denny Rowland, in 1990. On August 24th, 1990, Denny snuck into the home of a UF freshman, Christina Powell, and Sanja Larson, brutally stabbing and sexually assaulting them both. He then targeted Santa Fe Community College student Krista Hoyt and left her head on the shelf to face her body on the bed. Then on August 27th, he resurfaced once again at the house of two 23-year-old UF students, Miguel Tabida and Tracy Paulus. Tabida put up a fight before both were overwhelmed. Neither body was mutilated at the time. Rowan was sentenced to death at the Florida State Prison on August 24th, 2006.
Now that you say that,
Man.
I actually remember hearing about that story, and boy, that's grisly. So, yeah,
Yeah,
Carrie?
it's really, really brutal.
it's really brutal and sad, but it's kind of an interesting story to base a film off of.
Yeah, and I mean, Scream. I guess one of the good things about Scream is it doesn't take it to that level of violence that actually
Yeah.
existed. I think.
Yeah.
Real murders. Scream is more. As far as horror slasher, Scream is fairly light. Actually, there's a
Somewhat,
decent bit
yeah.
of comedy in there.
There's
I
not
mean,
as much,
the Drew
weird-
Barrymore kill is pretty gruesome.
That's
yeah,
brutal,
but there's not as much like weird decapitations and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like also if you're basing a story off of real terrible things that happen to someone, maybe don't do it exactly how it happened because you want to respect the
Yeah.
family, victims,
Yeah.
and just kind of like do your own thing, but get inspired. I mean, if you can create great art out of tragedy, there you go.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of best movies that we're talking about tonight that are based on true crime, they kind of do take that little kernel of inspiration, but make something totally different from what
Perfect,
actually
yeah.
happened.
I think that's the best way to do it, honestly. And yeah, I mean, it also just kind of like when horror films are rooted in reality a lot of the time, it's just scarier because you can see things in film that could actually really happen to you.
Yeah, I mean,
And-
especially these that are just it's kind of the scariest because it
He's not through.
could actually happen.
He's not through. Are you through?
No.
So, anyways, yeah, do you want to move on to your next topic, Carrie? Your next movie?
Well, I don't know if Hunter wanted to cover it because he did the research. I'm happy to talk about it.
I do want to add one more little tidbit to it for Scream. Quick.
Oh, sure.
Kevin Williams. I was watching an interview, and Kevin Williamson said that after he had watched the documentary based on this Gainesville Ripper, that he called a friend of his, and they ended up surprisingly talking about horror movies, and that's what inspired him to make a meta type slasher movie, and went up there and wrote the first screenplay for Scream in one weekend.
Wow.
That's crazy.
One of the most brilliant screenplays ever written.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
weekend.
That's how brilliant Kevin Williamson is, and he kind of like dominated the '90s pretty much with his writing. I mean, freaking The Faculty is pretty amazing too. So
Yeah. So actually, let's let Chad take the next one, and then Carrie, you can take yours.
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I actually did a little bit of research. I didn't do a lot, and I got everything I wrote off of Wikipedia. So take it for what you.
So did I.
Your source.
Yeah. So I did a little bit on the Silence of the Lambs because I know this one is interesting because it's been like based off of different kind of like serial killers and murders and stuff like that. But there was one story that I kind of found a little interesting. Basically, the character of Buffalo Bill was based off of a murderer named Gary M. Heidnick, or partially based off of him. And this was a man who was honorably discharged from the military after being diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder. And I'm not going to get into the grisly details about it, but I know this is a horror podcast show, but you can do your own research if you want to hear about all that stuff. Just know this man kidnapped and tortured multiple black women. For some reason, that was the one detail that was his pattern in North Philadelphia, and kept them in a pit in his basement, just like Buffalo Bill in the movie. Gary was killed by lethal injection, as was his punishment. Apparently, Buffalo Bill was also based on other murderers, as I said, but this one is just so eerily similar to a Buffalo Bill type. Um, and then I did write down the names of the victims because they did not deserve to have what happened to them. And thankfully, not all of them are dead. Only 2 died, but I mean, one is too many, obviously. But yeah, and that makes him just shy of serial killer status too, I guess, because isn't it 3 or more?
According to Scream 4.
Yeah, they've actually revised the definition. I think I know it used to be 3 with a colon.
Isn't it 2 or more?
I think now it might be 2.
Then in that case, he may be a serial killer, whatever. And he's dead now. But his victims were Josephina Rivera, Sandra Lindsay, deceased, Lisa Thomas, Deborah Dudley, deceased, and then Jacqueline Askins and Agnes Adams. And then I went over to Hannibal a little bit. Hannibal Lecter is also apparently based off of Prison Doctor, the author of the books, Silence of the Lambs books, interviewed, potentially named Alfredo Bali Trevino. I'm probably butchering that name. I think it's Spanish or Mexican. He was also known as Dr. Salazar, and he apparently treated murderers, but was in jail or something. But was also a murderer himself, and he had a certain elegance about him. So I guess that inspired the character. That's pretty awesome.
Wow.
So,
So I also know that Buffalo Bill was also inspired by the work of Ed Gein and the methods of how he captured his victims in Silence of the Lambs. Buffalo Bill was also took inspiration from Ted Bundy, because Ted Bundy famously would either charm them or he would dress up like a delivery man or whatever, and then kind of lure his victims that way as well.
Yeah, there's a story where I know Ted Bundy went into a park and I think he had a sling around his arm.
Yeah, he only had one arm.
Meant to help him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like moving it into help me lift us into the van. But
yeah. Did you just go full Ted Levine?
Help me, Hunter. Help me get this into my van. Candy cane.
Oh my god.
I can't lift this couch all by myself. But yeah, since you mentioned Ed Gein, I just wanted to briefly touch on that. I believe Psycho was also based off of Ed Gein.
Mm-hmm.
The whole mother thing, because
he was obsessed with his mom,
and he also kept her body in his house.
He dug up her body after it was buried and then kept it in his house.
Yeah, he did a lot of weird shit.
I had to watch the weirdest documentaries today.
Okay.
Now this is my topic. All right, so should we go in and talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, I think this actually leads into
Speaking of...
No, wait, that's Hunter's.
Speaking of Ed
Unless you want me to...
Oh, I can take this one, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, speaking of Ed Gein, the biggest inspiration behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre event was the story of serial killer Ed Gein, whose crimes shocked an entire nation in the 1950s. Known as the Plainsville Ghoul, Ed has a history of wearing women's clothes and mutilating corpses, displaying distinct ties to the final version of Leatherface's character. Gain also exhumed corpses from local graveyards, fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and skin, and confessed to killing at least 2 women.
That's enough to keep you up at night, Hunter. I mean, just
Yeah.
thinking of somebody doing that in the four walls of their home.
Yep. Yep. And apparently one of the victims, from what I watched a documentary about it, like a little like YouTube documentary. One of the victim's son was a police officer, and he found his mom hanging on a meat hook.
Oh no! Oh my god!
And I was just like, oh my god, like just imagine like that had to be fucking just like mind blowing, just like depressing as all hell.
And then when you hear stories like this, it really gives a whole new level to some of the early films like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because they're so gritty but like rooted in such realism that like that's so much scarier than any like real bloody horror movie, like that's unrealistic. So I feel like that adds another level to it, knowing that it's based off of this crazy dude who sewed people's skin and shit.
Yeah, well, and I feel like Texas Chainsaw, the vibe in that house is probably the best matched vibe to
with the weird demented family.
Yeah,
and then you get like callbacks to that all the time, like that weird X-Files episode that like will never be aired on TV again, probably because it's so creepy.
What was that?
There's like this X-Files episode where Scully and Mulder go to investigate some sort of like murder or something, and they end up finding this family where they're all deformed and weird.
It is.
I've heard this one. Yes.
It's banned now, I think.
I think they aired it the one time, and then they never aired it. Well, they must have aired it. I wonder if I watched that. They must have aired it in reruns because I'm pretty sure I saw it.
Okay.
But maybe I'm thinking I saw it on the DVD.
Well, we're more desensitized now these days. Look, it's called Home, but look, if the show Hannibal is on TV, that X-Files
on national TV.
Yeah.
It's his on NBC.
Yeah. Hannibal's insane.
It's insane. Like you watch that show and you're like, they aired this on a net. It's not even on cable. It's just on a network show.
It's on network TV. Yep. All right. So, Carrie, go ahead and tell them about your movie that I had to research.
Which one do you want to do?
Yeah. So I'll do the worst one that I think Hunter had to research. They're both pretty bad though.
Okay.
Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So this is a movie. It's based on pretty largely on the crimes and confessions of Henry Lee Lucas, who was a serial killer arrested in Texas in 1983. Henry, like the version of him depicted in the film, went to prison in 1960 for the murder of his mother. He fell in with Otis Toole, the man who would become his
fell in love. I'm sorry.
Fell in love. That's what I thought you meant, because they did have a romantic relationship, and they were accomplices for the next 5 years. Otis had a niece named Becky who lived with them for a period of time. Henry ended up sexually assaulting and killing Becky, and it's only a handful of the confessed.
Whoa.
Okay, so
Really?
Henry Lee Luke. Okay, he confessed to murdering like 3,000 people.
That's
the only ones,
impossible.
the only ones verified were his mother, Becky, and an older woman. Her name was Katie Rich. I know Henry Lee Lucas's later confessions, I think, were largely based on the fact that he would get rewards for confessing murders, like cigarettes and trips outside of the prison. And if you want more information, I know last podcast on the left did a really good in-depth series of Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole. If you want like all the grisly details.
Okay. Look, not even Jason Voorhees has a body count that large. Okay, calm down, Henry. You're not that cool.
I will say, this one had a lot on there. I had to trim it up, and most of it was freaking disturbing.
Yeah.
Because I also had stuff about his backstory, with his mom and things like that. That I was like, I don't know if I can go this far on this show with that.
I will say, I remember because Henry, by the way, in the movie is portrayed brilliantly by Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker.
That dude is the best. But I feel like, don't they like kind of make you sympathize with the character in that movie?
I don't know, not really. I mean, it's a pretty disturbing.
I think maybe they start out making you kind of identify with him a little bit, and then you go, okay, this dude is kind of fucked
Well,
up.
I mean, I can get into kind of his backstory without making it over,
sure,
like exploitative, I should say. So, pretty much, his dad was alcoholic, as most of these serial killers start. Of course, he was abusive, but he would also, in order to apologize for his abusive actions, he would give Henry moonshine at the age of 10. So he was an alcoholic by age of 10 or 11. His mom, that's where I got to be careful with this because I don't know what YouTube will allow me to say. But she was a sex worker, and then as her activities happened, she would force Henry to watch. And that's pretty much where all I can say.
I can see all of the trauma with that, but like as we'll get into in like a later film, at some point with any person who's done terrible, terrible things, obviously, they're human beings, and at some level you can identify with any of them, but it's never an excuse for doing what you do and what they
not
do.
At all.
So yeah. Is that it for that story?
Yeah, thank God.
I think that's it.
All right, yeah, I'll go into mine. My last one. Actually, it's not on there. Let me pull up my actual doc.
It is
Sorry.
on there, but you can pull up your research.
Oh yeah,
Monster.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about Monster because this one is it seems a little controversial every time it gets brought up, at least by me. I'll say Monster is a little easier because it's literally a biopic about the life of Eileen Wuornos, who was a convicted serial killer. Charlize Theron famously played her. Yep.
Oh, do you have the notes pulled up? Because I do have all the victims laid out as well.
Okay, yeah. I'll read yours, but I'll read mine first, and then I'll go on to yours. All right, so I wanted to say Charlize Theron famously played her and looked unrecognizable, disappearing into the performance as she normally does. It seems a little controversial of a film, however, because in some ways it sympathizes with the character of Eileen, basically saying it was okay to do what she did because she was assaulted at a young age and was actually sexually assaulted while being a prostitute and a sex worker. Didn't we say prostitute before?
No.
Oh, apologies, sex worker. Of course, if anybody tries to harm you in that way, self-defense definitely seems justified. But then, because she is struggling for money, she starts killing and robbing patrons of sex work. And then I said, it feels like there's a swath of people who actually defend Eileen, saying that she was justified in her actions. But I feel like if you say it's okay for her to do what she did, you'd have to say that about every serial killer who had a bad childhood or was abused in some way.
Which is most of them.
Yeah, and then like justify their actions because of that. I think Carrie has some opinions on this. I'm not sure.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's just debate because Eileen Wuornos, gave a lot of conflicting accounts about what happened. So it's hard to know what's the truth because at some point she said she outright just murdered all of the people she murdered. At other points, she said all of them sexually assaulted her first. So it's very difficult to know what the truth is. It's probably somewhere in between where maybe one or two of a few of them sexually assaulted her, but it's just impossible to know because she was trying to defend her own life.
Yeah.
And it's a very rough life to be a sex worker, especially in that time, and the way she was doing it.
And it's definitely also an interesting case because normally serial killers are men, and some of them are women, but I mean, it's just a very unique case. So I can see why people separate this one from the pack and go, well, but she still killed a lot of people,
Yeah.
and Hunter was kind enough to do a lot of great research here. She was killing male clients between 1989 and 1990 before she was executed in Florida in 2002. Here's some of the names. There's Richard Charles Mallory. She claims she killed him in self-defense. David Andrew Spears. I'm not going to go through it like all the details unless you want me to.
Yeah.
You want me to?
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I'll say, yeah, he was declared missing as of May 19, 1990. And then later, his naked body was found along U.S. Route 19 in Florida and Citrus County. Had been shot 6 times by a 22 pistol. So, well, I mean, it's a 22. So I feel like, 6 times. I don't know. We don't have to get into all this.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'll just say we don't have like that much time.
we won't be the arbitrators of guilt here. We'll just say, it's a sensitive topic, and
very true. All right, and we don't have to get into the facts here, the case. Charles Edmund Karskadon was another victim. Peter Abraham Sims, Troy Eugene Burris, Charles Richard Dick Humphreys, and then Walter Gino Antonio. So she killed quite a few people.
And a lot of them were shot multiple times, and it's in a very short
with
time.
a 22.
With the 22, yeah.
And I know she was like, hurting for money, and she was actually like taking the money from them. So it almost feels like, if you're in self-defense, why are you taking money? And I don't know.
Taking money.
Doesn't super
And
add up
not, I mean,
to me.
Yeah.
But you choose for yourself, audience.
Yeah,
I mean,
research it yourself, and you can,
Yeah, and again, with all of these, I did as much research as possible, but there are a lot that I could not go into. So if you feel interested in any of these stories, look yourself. There's documentaries online on YouTube. There is multiple articles you can look up. Do your own research as well.
And if you haven't seen these films, they're all great films. So,
yeah. So
do you want to?
I'll take over the last one if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Go for it, please.
All right, because this one does have a long intro, but
yeah.
I not gonna lie, I copied and pasted most of this, so don't get too impressed. So the last one is The Strangers. So according to writer and director Brian Bernito, The Strangers is primarily based on 3 real-world events. The first one is the infamous series of murders committed by the Manson family in 1969, later nicknamed Helter Skelter, which was organized by Charles Manson in an ill-advised bid to start a race war the cult leader had predicted, in particular the home invasion and killing of actress Sharon Tate. The second inspiration for The Strangers is the infamous 1981 Kitty Cabin murders, in which 4 people were killed in a small California resort town, including Sue Sharp, her son John, daughter Tina, and John's friend Dana. Disturbingly, the motives for these murders are still unknown, as the Katy Police Department never caught the real-life killers. And the case remains unsolved. The third and final slice of real inspiration for The Strangers comes from Benito's real-life experience. As a child, Benito recalls a night his parents weren't home and someone knocked on the door asking for someone who didn't live there. In the reverse of The Strangers, Benito stated he later learned that the people knocking were robbing houses in neighborhoods where no one was home instead of attacking people inside their houses.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what makes The Stranger such a brilliant film when you revisit it. Is just like, that's kind of the scariest thing. That's one of the scariest things about Michael Myers and just a lot of these movies, where the killers just don't have any motivation, and they say it like towards the end of the movie. It's like,
because you were home.
Because you're home. And it's like, okay, so it just means like it could literally happen to anybody just because you're there. And that's scary as hell.
Yeah, I mean, home invasion films in general are among the scariest because your home's where you're supposed to feel really safe, and you're at your most vulnerable usually when you're at your house. So it's just terrifying to think about someone either breaking in or just walking in, and you're least expecting it attacking you.
And that's what actually makes a lot of horror movies like Paranormal Activity, the first one, so scary, is that primarily in Paranormal Activity, the movie takes place around one bed in one home. And that is like attacking your sanctuary, a place where you're supposed to be safe.
I think in a way that's true. I think the only thing that separates that is you really got to believe in ghosts and demons and stuff, but like a lot of people do. I do. So, I mean, films like that scared shit out of me. So, just thinking about like things that happen while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, should we get into kind of a rapid fire of like movies that are based on true events that we didn't have enough time to research? Like Zodiac, for example, the infamous Zodiac killer, the 2007 movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, was inspired by obviously the case of the Zodiac killer. A lot to get into in this story. Again, do your own research for this one. I believe he's still not found, but I believe because I remember last year.
So
last year we had something about the Zodiac being caught, but I don't know if that's him or not.
No, I mean, it's one of these, every so often, especially with the Zodiac case and like Jack the Ripper, people will come out and be like, oh, we did all this research and we think it's this person, but it's never actually
it's never actually them.
I mean, it's very likely that that person's no longer alive.
It's hard to tell because they just caught a few years ago the original Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker, yes, that's true.
Not Richard Ramirez, who was the other Night Stalker, but
Night Stalker.
Yeah, the original Night Stalker.
And they caught. They caught.
Talking about the Golden State Killer.
The Golden State Killer.
Yes, recently as well.
That's the same person as the original Night Stalker.
Right. Yeah.
Because
it is. Yes. Same nickname.
They didn't know at first because he also committed. So the Night Stalker murders were in a different part of California, and then he also did a series of. Before he escalated to murder, he did a series of sexual assaults in a different area of California, and it took the police a long time until DNA was developed
to connect the two of them.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting thing. There's a great book by Michelle McNamara, Patton Oswalt's late wife.
Yeah.
And I think they did an HBO thing.
HBO Max series, yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of great information on it. If you can't tell, Carrie's really into true crime podcasts.
I am too.
Me too, but not as much as Carrie.
And then another one that I have on the docs, but I didn't have enough time to write notes on is the Ted Bundy movie that was on Netflix. Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Zac Efron one?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, I believe that movie was directed by the same guy who did the serial killer confessions tapes with Ted Bundy as well.
I don't know that one either.
Okay.
It was a documentary that tied in with the release of the movie.
Aren't they doing another one soon?
They are, yeah.
Okay. I thought they're doing another Ted Bundy movie. They're like really
which again,
into the subject.
Yeah, I mean Ted Bundy is probably one of the most famous serial killers. I mean, famous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I think there's a lot of Dahmer movies too, aren't there?
Well, there's My Friend Dahmer.
My Friend Dahmer in 2017 with Ross Lynch.
Oh yeah.
Isn't there going to be not Taron Egerton? Who's the other one? I don't know. Never mind.
I was like, what? Egerton is Dahmer?
There was actually a Dahmer movie, I think, with Jeremy Renner. Renner was first starting
in like
out.
2006, something like
Yeah,
that,
maybe
2005.
Yeah.
It was
like-
a young.
It's like
Young Jeremy
Jared
Renner.
Leto playing Mark David Chapman. You guys remember that?
What
Wait,
movie was
what?
What was that movie called? There's a movie, I can't remember what it's.
Not JFK.
Mark Chapman, who killed
John Lennon.
Yeah.
yeah, Jared Leto played him. He got fat for the role. You guys don't know about that?
No, I do not.
Okay, let me.
That is interesting.
If anybody's interested, this is a really.
'Cause
I think this is a good film, and this is proof that, in my opinion, Jared Leto can act. Even
I mean, of
though
course he can act.
he's been kind of weird lately, but there's
I mean, come on, he can act. Suicide Squad, come on, man.
There's a couple brilliant.
I broke Carrie.
There's a couple brilliant things with him, but it's called Chapter 27 in 2007. Jared
Wow.
Leto. He got
So
fat. I'll show
that
you
must have
the
been coming
trailer.
off of his album.
He got
Damn.
Probably. Yeah.
he got chubby. What can I say? He was doing his craft. It's kind of like Dallas Buyers Club. He like committed. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
he's a good method actor.
Yeah, and then it got weird.
Yeah.
But we don't have to get into that.
I'm actually still a huge fan of Jared Leto. I don't care. But but yeah, Ted Bundy, I mean, there's not a lot we can get into that hasn't already been talked about in multiple documentaries.
Yeah, I'd have to like sit down and research and do all the stuff if we wanted to actually do
Dude,
that.
today was probably the toughest research I've ever had to do.
Oh, I bet. Oh my god.
I was sitting there
You
just
did
like,
what?
why am I watching this?
Are there any other little ones that come to mind? Because I know we're probably going to try to do like another one of these where we get more into like
We are.
supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of brilliant because there's a lot.
That might be next week's episode.
We can
That'd be
maybe
cool.
even do like a two-parter
Yeah.
and just cover a lot of really fun stories.
So pretty much next week is going to be the Warren story. Got it.
Yeah, let's pencil that in. We'll do that next week. That sounds fun.
Yeah, so next week will be more supernatural based horror films. Chad, Carrie, where can people find you online?
Yeah. I'm doing trivia like a lot of places, like TMG over in the Movie Trivia Schmodown fan leagues. I'm trying to join Hunters League. I have a match coming up for that. I'm like writing some of his matches. I will be hosting one soon. I try to do trivia all around. I also am over at my buddy Dylan Randazzo's channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. We have a show called Picture This, where we every month we do a year of the Oscars, where we rank the films, we talk about the films of the given year. It's all the nominees for Best Picture, by the way, and we also go into the actors and actresses from all those films. And we have a really great time doing that. I have my own little channel with my name, Chadwick Webb, where we rank things a little bit. I got like Edgar Wright Christmas over on there.
You gotta put out Harry Potter.
Yeah, I gotta edit and throw out my Harry Potter rankings. So
Please tell me Prison Rasputin is number one.
It was for me.
maybe. Carrie, no spoilers. Maybe.
I just said for me personally. There were 3 other
No
people.
spoilers
on the
for your
panel,
list.
so-
Maybe.
Prison Rasputin's my favorite movie and book. So
Same.
Ever?
not
Or-
ever, but like in the Harry Potter series.
Better than Scream? No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not really online, but if you want to see pictures of our cats, I'm on Instagram at Carrie Elizabeth.
Always.
17.
Always for the cat pics. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So if you did enjoy this episode, hit that like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you guys so much for your soon. Peace.